Surfing is a bit of a wall off for our players. Although it actually looks like there's these 3 entrances into Kimo's base. Or only these sort of 2 here into Tassakly's, and he's pretty safe on this whole outer stretch of the map if he can wall off these sections here. So yeah, Kimo, at the same time, these are only quite tight chokes, so it should be easy for him to keep an eye on these 2. This one over here might be a bit of a pain in the ass. Some central gold here. Tassakly's got gold over here he'd probably like to maintain control of. He's actually really got 4 golds on his outer shelf, whereas Kimo sort of only got the 3. Oh, he's got the 4th all the way over here. I guess it's balanced. I guess. Town centers be interesting. This one quite exposed, I think. I mean, this one too. It looks as though it's a little closer to Kimo's base than this one here is to Tassakly's. I mean, it's only a minute difference. Meanwhile, like Tassakly's, this one actually looks closer to him than this does to Kimo. Not by a huge amount, like by the tiniest. By a bee's dick. But yeah. I think Atlantean probably has a bit more go forward. They generally... It's funny, Egypt's really sort of the I've got to take straight to heroic civ, whereas Atlantean's one of those civs, it's a bit like Greek, where they've got a really solid classical age lineup, but from there you probably want to just leapfrog all the way to mythical. Or at least with Atlantean, they're sort of one of those civs where I like to encourage a more, I think, active, grindy game where it's like, you know, trade for trade, constant small compositional changes sort of deal, because then they might be able to sneak in a massive Terma and raid you to death, kill all your villagers, or switch to, what's the cavalry called? Yeah, Hero Cantarius, and try and snipe a bunch of structures before they actually really start relying on a use of their palace, like all their fortress type units, the Migdol type units. Egyptian, they tend to play around either one or the other, the Migdol or the barracks, and then obviously they'll use the siege workshop in either case where they see fit, as well as their myth units. But you tend to sort of see a bit of exclusivity between Migdol units and fortress units. I mean Migdol units and barracks units. Not every game, but it's just something you tend to see. Like Kimo's last game, he went straight on chariot and camelry after chariot Patsukos and then chariot camelry, whereas Tassakly was sort of making use of the slingers, some spearmen, and a lot of priests. I think Atlantean player Kimo as Aranos, he's not going to be able to just shift everything forward and create some disgustingly annoying proxy like Kronos, but you got to really give it to him. Oh, big shift here by Tassakly, and he's going to catch a villager. Oh, he's going to take out the citizen. She won't garrison. The other one manages to garrison in time, but that's a nice bit of value. Some blood on the board for Tassakly. He's going to get basically 3 regular villagers worth of value out of that, because these guys, you know, they take 3 times as long to train. They gather about 2.5 times as fast, 2 3/4 times as fast. Like, they're tankier, they hit harder, they build faster. If you can take them off an Atlantean player, all the more power to you. So the beauty of set with your age ups, you do get these aggressive animals, and you know, you could also use your priest and your pharaoh to convert some. set. Be able to make use of an army without necessarily having to even use the barracks at all in classical. I mean, all Egyptians, you're going to be able to just spam priests and your myth units, but at the same time, comp like this hits a little bit earlier, a little bit more balanced, doesn't really cost you anything because, you know, these are all free. He's just brought a villager too. It's definitely worth it though, because like he's killed a settler, citizen, and it's one labourer, so it's roughly a third of the value, and then he's got the labourer back, like he can always bring him home or keep him with the army here now. So Kimo, his plan will be to get some Terma, try and prevent this settlement going up, because I mean it'll be unguarded, so villagers have to fend for themselves, and they're going to have to fight off lions as well as aggressive units. So these will be triggered by villagers, but not by anything else in AOM. So it's going to mean Tassakly, it's going to drop a couple of villagers. And Shockwave being used earlier by Kimo just to deny a bit more gathering time as well. We're going to try and back out now. He's gotten a villager, taken health off some others. Well, gotten a couple of villagers, sorry. Taken health off some others, delayed it going up by a bit. So sort of doing what damage you can to undo losing the citizen early on. That's probably how you're supposed to focus this, and yeah, the massive Termas. These guys are going to be good against a comp like this because there's not really any solid long-term melee. Like these aren't terribly tanky and the damage isn't all that high. Termas are really brittle though, so against things like, you know, hoplites and spearmen, and you know, I mean, if you got a combo of like your spearman unit and your anti-range unit, Termas are just going to get fucking evaporated without also having a melee frontline of their own. But against a comp like that, Tassakly, I guess it's sort of a throwaway comp at this point because he's secured his second town center, so he's got that over Kimo, and he can look at transitioning to heroic age and using barracks units in the interim to defend and possibly stick with them later on. But Tassakly, still heroic, plenty of food, so he shouldn't have any problem getting to heroic. If you can get some villagers onto a gold mine somewhere. For now, he's going to have to go Spear Slinger, and like, you know, this combo is actually really good against Terma. Obviously, cavalry anti-range is even better because then your melee can catch the Termas better. But any melee plus a range component that's anti-range so they can fight back against Termas, or Cairo Ballista if you're playing Atlantean versus Atlantean, because bearing in mind, Cairo Ballista is siege, Termas counter ranged but not siege, so ultimately I think it is a slightly stronger trade for Kairos. And then on top of that, Cairo Ballista hit cavalry for slightly more damage than Termas, I believe. So they're a slightly better damage unit in bigger drawn out fights. Termas, I mean bigger fights and ones where it's more important to actually just get as much damage off as possible. Ones where you can kite and raiding opportunities, Termas definitely the better unit. Kimo just going to finish these off, so Citizen not going to have to worry about fighting. And on top of that, they're just nearby just in case, because Tassakly's actually going to hit this. When he might be able to surround and kill the Citizen, but at least Kimo's in the vicinity, so he doesn't spot any nearby range, so at least he can poke and prod here and be able to kite. But using Valor on another bunch of Terma, some full health ones, because he doesn't want it being wasted on some of these low health ones, like that one there. At the same time, Tassakly, he had a bunch of houses down here for some reason. So it's a nice catch for Tassakly, but he's going to lose all the spears for it. In the meanwhile, the villager he had down here wasn't able to get any of those houses built. He's got no free structures to hold up his opponent over the other side of the map. Well, with that many Terma, only a small number of slingers can't really fight this. So Tassakly actually probably needs to finish that Rax. Get these guys, get them a tower over here or something, or just evacuate them now because Kimo is about to hit, and in fact Tassakly going, oh no, he's going to try and fight with the Vils, which might not be such a good idea because Kimo picking one off, continuing to kite, going to lose a Terma that was only on 1 health. It's not a Terma. But Spears, this isn't a good trade for them without, you know, half a dozen or so slingers following. But Kimo, one of his Terma overstaying is welcome, so we need to correct that rally point. But now it looks like Tassakly gonna try and prevent this settlement going up, but this army, ooh, some quick building here by Tassakly, but not quite able to get that granary off. Yeah, using free buildings just to try and wall. In fact, it might have been what he was doing here to block that settlement from going up earlier. Shockwave being used, so Kimo stunning Tassakly's units, and we won't be able to save that citizen, I don't think, but he should eventually be able to clean up the Vils and the Spearmen there. Kimo now going up to 3 town centre, 2 Tassakly's 2, so Tassakly doesn't actually get any armory upgrades. Because he's gone for an early armory, which he also did this last game and then didn't end up taking a quick heroic. Kimo ended up beating him to heroic, so but no armory upgrades as of yet either, so it's a bit interesting. Tassakly's going to be denied the opportunity to get that barracks up, and these units are just getting butchered as soon as they pop out of the barracks there. These villagers, they were distance gathering too. Oh, it's over there. All of them are going to fall a free set. Tassakly finding it hard to get to about 75 pop. Kimo rocketing up. He's on 115 now, and he'll be able to hit 140 pretty soon, I think. But he may be looking to try and transition, get to heroic age. Maybe get a composition of Cantarius and Kyra Ballista out in the field, so he can really start taking some direct fights and preparing to get some fire siphons so he can actually siege, take out the town centre. For now, the massive Terma, it's going to be very difficult to deal with because there's just not enough military out in the field for Tassakly at the moment, so he's forced to garrison up here. Over here, these villagers in the spot of bother one of them getting picked off. The army in tow though, so Kimo coming back just to check the base. When villagers were left chasing, Tassakly hasn't noticed this, so only just now is he realizing, and now he's going to lose a villager or another villager or two. It's just a bit of a bait attempt here. Well, nice heal there, but it's not enough. Close, but no cigar. Kimo forcing Tassakly to think about garrisoning there again. Tassakly now going to be able to get heroic. So he really hasn't quite got the critical mass units to ward all this off should this army combine here, I don't think. But at the same time, he has got heroic age on the way. Villagers to try and fight here, and getting some good kills there actually. A villager for 2 Terma, one of them being a hero, is actually quite a good trade, but at the same time being forced off this gold mine, losing another Vil to Kimo, and Kimo I think is okay, just, oh yeah, he's going to heroic now. So he's fit in that 3rd town centre now, so he's probably okay to both go heroic and keep contributing to this army if he feels inclined, but for now, I think he's stopped that production. He's just forcing Tassakly to have to try and field 2 armies here. Really quite working there. He's keeping that hunt guarded at the moment, but all the villagers be further up at the top here. For the time being, so Nephitus has finished up, but Thea is finishing up for Kimo as well. So our Egyptian player Tassakly going to be able to make use of some really nice siege, and this is actually a nice catch. Terma not wanting to run past that. But the set animals actually not quite tanky enough to hold off that many Terma, focusing them down, as well as a single priest. Tassakly probably, going to try and get that transition while have a big number of military barracks. So the Cantarius and probably Arcus or Cairo Ballista here for Kimo. I think Arcus and Cairo Ballista end up being better DPS per pop against non-counter units. And I think Arcus are the squishiest of the 3, but Terma aren't really much tankier. So a nice little raid here by Tassakly, but he's sort of forced to use Ancestors to ward off the Terma for the timing. So Kimo's just going to pull away, and the minions try and chase down. At the same time, Tassakly has forced a little bit of a garrison here, but he's not focusing down the Cephalian bird. Now he is. But for a while there, he wasn't actually focusing it. Now Kimo isn't paying attention. Ooh, there he is. Just a little bit late to respond to that, so he's going to lose it. For a while there, wasn't being focused. But Cantarius, Tech Switch, these guys be very solid against the slingers. All the spears, but Tassakly, he's going to have to get spear upgrades for them to really contend against heavy Cantarius. Because even though they are countered by him, if they're fighting with the armor upgrade over their opponent, they should be able to come out ahead. So cavalry actually and chariots here for Tassakly. Again, I think you might want to look at getting some upgrades on those. Going to start producing some dryads as well. It's a nice tanky myth unit. The chariot overextending there, getting taken out. There's a nice concave there, and he had forced Kimo to come to him, but the shockwave, very opportune moment there. Kimo able to get to Mythic Age, so be able to get that Tartarian gate. Tassakly instantly going to send villagers to go and clean it up though, so this is a good idea. Even though it puts the villagers at risk of the Tartarian spawn, he cuts down the amount of them that are going to be produced, and from there he can just garrison and rely on priests and pharaohs to clean that up. And, the static defense town center fire. So, but meanwhile it does slow down his eco. Makes it a little bit annoying to try and have the gold income that he needs to keep fighting here. And so, Kimo's even brought a Terma, which he was using against the villagers while this was going on. Because, he obviously needed to actually scout the area. And it ended up actually helping him out for a little bit before it got taken down. But it looks like it's put him in a great spot here, because he's now pushed into Tassakly, who really doesn't have much of an army. This is really rough. He doesn't want to be producing out of these, because as soon as the units pop out, they're just dying. And unfortunately, he hasn't got the gold to try and re-establish a bunch of barracks up here and keep trying to funnel in some units to help defend his Migdol and his town center there. So GG, Kimo takes the series 2-0.